name is Senator Phil Fortunato. I want to be the next Republican governor of Washington State. When you look at all the candidates, I am the only guy that is an elected official. That is one of my biggest assets. You know what my biggest liability is? I'm the only guy that's an elected official. So, if you went to a gun rally in Olympia, every single one of my opponents could have them. They could have a tent, they could have signs, they could get up there and say, vote for me because I'm running for governor, except me. Because while you're in session, you can't campaign during that on state property. 30 days before and after session, you can't raise money. Big problem, right? Everybody else is out there campaigning and raising money for 4 months. And then when I can raise money, it was like the governor targeted every single business that was going to send me money. Causes a big problem. So that's my biggest liability. That's why we have enough money to win this race. If every single one of you guys send me $2,000, we're there. We're ready to go. So I want to talk a little bit about this emergency decree and what we're doing in the legislature or not doing in the legislature. So when this thing first hit, we had a briefing. You're a state senator, a representative, and you had a briefing, and they told you this. 10,000 people were going to die. Hospitals were going to be overwhelmed. There's going to be beds in the parking lot. There's going to be so many people infected with this. If somebody touched a countertop, 2 weeks later, somebody else was going to get this virus. So nobody really knew what the hell was going to happen. So it seemed reasonable to shut things down and figure out what was going on. But 2-3 weeks later, anybody here go to Costco during that time, or Walmart, or Fred Meyer, right? All right, you went to Costco, you went to Fred Meyer, and anybody here heard about massive outbreaks or infections or anything from doing that? No, because that demonstrated that if you had a reasonable healthcare protocol in place, they spaced people out, they sterilized the cars, they did whatever it is they're going to do, that you could do this and everybody could function. March 26th, I wrote the letter to the governor. There's no need to shut down the entire economy of the state. Just, you shut down residential construction, but you allowed them to build low-income housing that was funded by the government. You allowed them to fund sound transit issues. You allowed them to build the Key Arena. If construction was the problem, why didn't you shut down all construction? Picking winners and losers. That's when he came out with the essential, non-essential stuff. Anybody here non-essential? You know? And so anyway, that's when I went to my caucus on April 2nd. This should be a caucus position, a Republican Senate caucus position. We should be saying this is no longer an emergency. And if it is no longer an emergency, you, Jay Inslee, no longer have emergency powers. That's what we should be saying as a united caucus. Nobody does anything. I said, I'm a state senator. I represent the 31st Legislative District. I am reduced to writing letters to Santa Claus. That's what I do. Wrote the letter March 26th. The legislature sent Jay Inslee 19 letters, and of those 19 letters, he responded to one and said no. The rest of them, I don't know where the heck they went, the trash, the shredder, or whatever, right? And I said to my caucus, if Inslee isn't going to call us into special session to deal with the budget issues, to stop the 3% pay raise on state employees, and all this other stuff, every dollar we save now is a dollar less we have to worry about later. Going into the caucus, let's call ourselves in a legislative special session. No response. I sent a letter to the entire legislature. Your representative, Jesse Young, was one of the ones that responded. And on March 5th, me, Senator Patton, Senator Erickson, that's your 3 conservative senators out of 21, and Jesse Young and Vicki Kraft, we have a press conference. It's always on TVW. And we say, we need to be calling a legislative special session, and this is why. So we're hammering our caucus. And the response I got back from my caucus is, if we go into special session, Democrats might propose an income tax. I go, perfect. That's what I want them to do. I want them to stand on the Senate floor. I want them to make impassioned speeches of why they're going to screw over the taxpayer before November. They're going to do it anyway. Us not doing something is not going to stop them from not proposing an income tax or a B&O tax or a this tax or that tax. I go, make them do it. Make them do it now before November. Still no response, no response. Finally, third week in May, one of our leadership guys gets the brilliant idea, we should call a legislative special session. I go, wow, that's great, that's fantastic. On May, the Monday, the last week of May, we have a caucus meeting. We're going to vote on a bill that I said, my point was this. You hear about these proclamations, all these proclamations? Every week we have a caucus call and they go through all these proclamations. Now I'll be honest with you, if you read the proclamations, they are actually not bad. These are waivers of state law where they waive late fees, they waive regulations and stuff like that. And I said we should actually be making some of these things permanent. They're all waivers of law. I go, but by acknowledging that you're going to extend these proclamations, you are acknowledging that he has the power to do this. And I said, I'm done with this. I'm not voting on any more of these proclamations. And our caucus should say, thus far and no farther, we're not voting on any of these proclamations. In the last Monday of the month, success. They finally had some guts. We had a vote, a unanimous vote. We're not going to extend. We're going to extend the proclamations from June 5th to June 17th. After that, no more. We're not extending it after that. We want to go into special session. That's when the budget projections come out, and we want to address the budget issues. And we draft a letter. We say we're going to draft a letter and send it to Inslee. Great, unanimous vote. 2 days later, maybe we should remove that proclamation part. We'll just send a letter saying we want to go into special session. So what? Like, we just had a vote 2 days ago that you were going to do this. No, we might get beat up. He might be able to tell us that, this or that, whatever issue it was. So they had another vote, and they turned squish, and they had another vote, and on that vote they took out the extending of the proclamation. So they said, we're going to extend these and so still this week, they're still extending proclamations. So they sent a letter to the governor and said, Governor, we want to go into legislative special session. And the governor responded and said, nah, we don't need to do that. That was the response. That's what we are facing in our legislative process. That's why I'm the only guy that understands how this system works. When you hear people say, for example, I am going to address the homeless issue and get people off the street, how are you going to do this? As governor, I am going to do this. As governor, I'm going to do that. Well, you're missing that little part about working with the legislature. You're a Republican governor, and you have to work with a Democratic House and a Democratic Senate. How are you going to get that agenda through? Our problem is, our people are horrible negotiators. You need to have somebody that negotiates, that is a tough negotiator. They are playing hardball, and we are playing softball. You call in the Democrats and you say, tell me what you want to accomplish. Tell me the bills you want to pass. Tell me what you're working on. And you make a list. And you go, no, I'm going to veto this, veto that, veto this. I'll work with you on this. I'll work with you on that. This one looks okay. And you just make a list. So now they have a list of things that they know you will work with them on or you're going to pass. And then you say, here's my list. Here's my agenda. This is what I want to accomplish. You're not getting anything on your list unless you get what I get on my list. And that's how you aggressively get the other side to go along with you. But you need to have a hammer. You need to be negotiating, be a tough negotiator in this stuff. So my commitment to you, when you elect somebody, when you elect your state representative or your state senator, they are your chief negotiators. And I'm going to put a plug in for your state senator, Emily Randall. She has to go, please. I can't stand it. I mean, we're in this committee. It drives me nuts, you know. And so her first floor speech, by the way, she stood up and proudly proclaimed that she's the first queer legislator. That is the representation. She didn't say, this is what I'm going to do for my district, and my district this and that, and on and on. She doesn't represent you. I mean, I've never heard her really get on the Senate floor and start saying, oh, my district this and my district that. So you need to replace her. And in order to do that, you know, you need to actively be recruiting people and supporting people to run in the Senate. So I'm hoping that Jesse, at some point in time, maybe in 2 years, might consider that. But every one of you here can help solve this problem. And call us in the special session by calling the legislative hotline and harassing the Emily Randall and your representatives. Well, Jesse's on board. But you want to be harassing, you want to be calling the legislative hotline, you want to be saying, we want to go into special session, and that's the hammer that you need to do if you want to affect change and stop this madness. So I'm State Senator Phil Fortunato. I'd like to ask for your vote, and God bless America, and God bless Donald Trump. Thank you.